On the evening of the 22nd of February 2026, a single piece of news spread across a country home to millions of people.
Authorities in Mexico say at least 62 people have been killed following a wave of violence that broke out after the killing of the country's most wanted man.
Violence has broken out in several cities across Mexico, hours after the army confirmed it had killed one of the country's most feared drug lords.
Within hours, it threw everything into chaos. Life came to a standstill in 8 states. International airports were evacuated, smoke rose over tourist coastal cities, people locked themselves in their homes in fear. This was not just mourning for the leader of a criminal organization. This event was the manifestation of another power growing within the state, the founder of a $20 billion empire. The sole leader of the CJNG, described by the FBI as Mexico's most powerful criminal organization. This is the story of El Mencho, one of Mexico's and the world's most deadly barons. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, known by the alias El Mencho, was born in 1,966 inches, a rural village in the town of Aguililla, Michoacán, Mexico. His family was poor. His father was an avocado grower. Due to financial constraints, he dropped out of school early, and at a young age, he fled to the United States illegally. He worked in agriculture to support himself and was arrested in the 1990s for crimes related to drug trafficking. He served time in a federal prison in the United States and was deported to Mexico in 1997 after completing his sentence. Upon returning to Mexico, he joined organized crime groups. He first joined the Millennial Cartel. Here, he served as an enforcer. That is, he was the one who enforced discipline, carried out orders, and spread fear. Later, when the Millennial Cartel weakened, he founded the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, in the early 2010s and became its leader. This organization quickly became one of Mexico's most powerful and dangerous cartels. El Mencho took a very different path from other cartels. He did not rise to power solely through violence. He was also cautious. He did not show off or appear in the media. He had learned his lesson from his rivals. For example, Joaquin Guzman, El Chapo, grew the Sinaloa cartel but was very visible. He gave interviews and met with celebrities. This visibility led to his capture and resulted in him receiving a life sentence in the US. What made El Mencho different was not just his power, but his patience and careful approach. From the time CJNG was founded in 2009 to 2010, the only known photos of El Mencho were from decades ago. He had no trace on social media. He deliberately kept the number of people around him small. He didn't trust anyone. He was constantly changing locations. So how did he manage to avoid attention and do all this? First, he tries not to directly confront the US. The organization carries out its actions without targeting US citizens as much as possible. Because if an American citizen is harmed, the DEA and FBI quickly increase the pressure. If political pressure increases, the operation grows. Knowing this, he moves carefully. Second, he changes his product strategy. While the old major cartels fought over cocaine and heroin, CJNG focused more on methamphetamine and fentanyl. These substances are cheaper to produce and yield very high profits. Demand is increasing, especially as the fentanyl crisis grows in the US. CJNG was quickly filling this void. Third, it uses violence as a message. Videos posted on social media, bodies left on the side of the road, and explicit threats spread fear. This is not random. The goal is to intimidate rivals and crush resistance before it even begins. These strategies made the CJNG one of Mexico's most powerful criminal organizations in the 2010s. By 2025, the pressure on El Mencho was mounting. In February 2025, the Trump administration officially designated the CJNG a foreign terrorist organization. This was not a symbolic step. It meant that sanctions mechanisms against all of the cartel's financial networks would be activated. During the same period, El Mencho's brother, Abraham Oseguera Cervantes, was arrested again in Mexico. He was known as Don Rodo. According to authorities, he played a key role in money laundering and was accused of funneling the cartel's money into the system through real estate purchases and commercial connections. His arrest increased the pressure within the family. El Mencho's son, Ruben Oseguera Gonzalez, had been imprisoned in the US since 2024. This situation was gradually weakening the chain of leadership within the organization. One of the prominent figures in the field was his stepson, Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez. However, according to experts, El Mencho was still making the real decisions. There was also elmencho's health problem, which no one knew about. There have been reports that he has been suffering from kidney problems since 2020. It was even claimed that he was receiving medical support in his village of Aguililla. Rumors of his death spread from time to time, but he was officially considered alive, and security forces were still searching for him. So the picture was becoming clear. His family was under pressure, his money was being tracked, his health was deteriorating, time was running out for elmencho. The 20th of February, 2026, intelligence units affiliated with the Mexican Ministry of Defense begin monitoring a very important person. This person is very close to elmencho. He is a trusted member of the organization. His job is to transport elmencho's girlfriend from one place to another. Intelligence did not go directly to the target. Instead, they kept the connected individual under close surveillance for 24 hours and waited for him to move. This method was identical to two of the most effective intelligence operations in history. In 2011, Osama bin Laden's location was identified by tracking a courier in the Pakistani city of Abbottabad. In 1993, Pablo Escobar was found thanks to signal tracking of a phone call he made to his mother. The method was the same. The leader hides, but those around him make mistakes. And eventually they made a move. The person being tracked was taking his girlfriend to a secret meeting point. Agents were following him step by step. The trail led them to the place where elmencho felt safest, a heavily guarded, secluded cabin complex in Tapalpa, a picturesque mountain resort town about 130 kilometers outside Guadalajara. From the outside, the area looks like an ordinary vacation spot, but inside, there are heavily armed guards. On Saturday, the 21st of February, 2026, the woman entered the complex. Mexican military commanders were monitoring the area from a distance. They weren't sending in helicopters. They weren't conducting a raid. They were just waiting for the right moment. Later that same day, the woman left the facility. This moment was critical. Because the woman's exit indicated that the person remaining inside was most likely elmencho. Thermal cameras and field reports confirmed that the heavily armed security team remained inside. On Sunday, February 22, during the night, the troops quietly took their positions and set traps. The countdown for the operation had begun. In the 22nd of February, 2026, 4:12 a.m. Mexican Special Forces had begun an operation. As soon as the soldiers surrounded the area, a fierce battle began. Elmencho had turned this place into a small fortress. Inside were armored vehicles, heavy machine guns, and rocket launchers. Some weapons were even specifically designed to shoot down military helicopters. When the Mexican Special Forces entered, the clash was fierce. Gunfire could be heard everywhere. 4 cartel members guarding the first security line in the courtyard were killed immediately. However, 3 Mexican Special Forces soldiers attempting to breach the barricade were also seriously wounded. As the defense line began to collapse, cartel leader attempted to escape. According to operation reports, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, aka El Mencho, was located on the west side of the safe house. This section had been reinforced specifically to protect him. The aim was to buy him time to escape while the guards were engaged in combat. But the army's advance was too fast. Mexican Special Forces opened heavy fire with FX-05, Type 5.56mm assault rifles. High-velocity bullets shattered the doors and walls of the western corridor, entered and hit elmencho. Multiple 5.56mm bullets struck his body. Severely wounded, elmencho collapsed to the ground. He was losing a lot of blood. Shortly after, the remaining security team was also neutralized. Elmencho was seriously injured and was being transported by helicopter to Mexico City for emergency medical treatment. However, he died before reaching the hospital. The 5-9-year escape ended on the 22nd of February 2026, but the real battle was just beginning. Before Elmencho's death was officially announced, CJ&G had already sprung into action. This was not panic, it was the implementation of a pre-planned emergency plan. Within a few hours, coordinated attacks spread across 7 states, primarily Jalisco. Hijacked trucks and buses were set on fire, blocking highways. Gas stations and markets were being set ablaze. People had barricaded themselves in their homes, schools were closed, violent incidents were taking place in front of tourists. Foreign airlines had canceled flights to Puerto Vallarta, Guadalajara, and Mazatlan. More than 1,000 visitors were trapped at the Guadalajara Zoo. The US State Department was receiving hundreds of calls around the clock. So who was the coordinator of this entire operation? It was El Mencho's right-hand man, Hugo Cesar Macias Ureña, nicknamed El Tuli. he was personally directing the wave of retaliation in Jalisco. That same day, intelligence units tracked him to El Grulo, about 180 kilometers southwest of Guadalajara, and they killed him. In a single day, the CJNG had lost both its leader and its right-hand man, and the cartel's future was now uncertain. According to analyses, the killing of El Mencho was a major event. This is because he led one of the world's most powerful criminal organizations. Experts say that in operations against drug cartels, this was one of the heaviest blows struck against a major cartel leader since Pablo Escobar's death. After El Mencho's death, a serious leadership crisis began within the CJNG cartel. It was unclear who would take over the cartel. This was because his family had either been arrested or killed. Therefore, the cartel's leadership structure was largely in disarray. El Mencho's death did not only affect Mexico, its effects spread to other countries as well. This was because the CJNG cartel had established a vast drug network in Latin America. For example, in countries such as Ecuador and Colombia, the CJNG was active in drug production and trafficking. Therefore, the leader's death could also affect criminal networks in these countries. Furthermore, the international implications of this event began to be discussed. This was because one of the cities hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup was Guadalajara. After all these events, many people began to ask the question, can Mexico really host this major tournament safely? In the end, El Mencho lived to be 59 years old. It wasn't technology that brought him down. It was human connection. A woman's visit. He had been on the run for years. He was powerful. He instilled fear. But in the end, he too died. Now, only one question remains. Will the order he established collapse? Or will those who come after him be even more dangerous?